Welcome to Agents Growth Academy, folks. Class is now in session. I am super excited for my guest today, Kelly Donahue-Piro. She is the founder and president of Agency Performance Partners, which is a no-nonsense, and she is a no-nonsense effectiveness expert who has helped hundreds of insurance agencies identify and capitalize on sustainable improvement opportunities. I think what that means is that she helps people grow. Her specialties include agency culture assessment and change, management and supervisory coaching and benchmarking, customer retention strategy development, digital marketing strategy, that's a big one, planning and implementation, and sales planning, management, and skill building. She has also created a brand around this back in 2014, Agency Performance Partners. And this is how I know her. Her face is all over LinkedIn. She's got all kinds of great content and videos coming out. Agency Performance Partners has a mission to partner with insurance entrepreneurs who dream to take their business to the next level and beyond by relentlessly pursuing excellence in world-class service and sales strategies. Kelly, welcome to Agents Growth Academy. How's it going?
Thank you for having me, Jim. Very exciting. It's a great Monday here in Rhode Island. I know you've got some ties to Rhode Island, so a
Yes.
little different than Georgia, but we're making do. That's why you'll see the sweater on today.
Yeah. Do you guys still have any leaves on the trees?
I'm actually looking outside right now. We've been fairly lucky. We still have quite a bit of foliage, but I think
Yeah.
that'll be gone in the next few weeks. So
Yeah, I'm sure. We're recording this in mid-November, and my wife was just up in Jamestown, in Rhode Island, like last weekend, I think it was, or 2 weekends ago, and she said it was absolutely gorgeous. So I'm glad you
it's a
still have some
very
color.
pretty place. I think it's
Yeah.
funny when I hear people have been to Rhode Island because it's like it's not totally on the radar screen, but once you come here, you kind of it takes a little piece of your heart, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say, like, you can take the girl out of Rhode Island, but you can't take Rhode Island out of the girl. She is, for as long as we've been married, almost 20 years, and she has had that pull back to the ocean state for that long. And actually, we just started construction on a house up there, so
Oh, fun!
that's an even bigger pull. We spend our summers there
You'll have to let
anyway,
me know
so.
when you come on up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, she's up there for about 2 months during the whole summer, and I usually go back and forth, but this will make it even easier for me to spend a little bit more time there. So, but
Absolutely.
well, tell us how you got here today. I mean, how did Agency Performance Partners become a thing? What's your everybody stumbles into the insurance industry, I feel like. So, how did you stumble into it?
It's a really good question, Jim, and I think my story is pretty um, typical if you didn't have parents in the industry. So, funny story back in the day, my mom was a school teacher and my dad was in sales. So, it's kind of funny that now I'm a sales teacher, coach.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I was in college and I would come home during the summers and I was an intern, a bank teller at a local bank. Basically, I
Mhm.
was called a float teller. So, I'd bounce around all the locations as people around vacation. And I got really good at the incentives the bank would have, which was teeing up to other departments. So, not to terrify anybody, we were just talking. I turned 40 next week, but when I was
Woohoo.
a bank teller, yeah, right. So this was, call it 20 years ago,
Yeah.
somewhere in that range, 18 or 22 to 20 years ago, there was no such thing as a debit
Oh, wow.
card.
Yeah.
Right. You can't imagine your life without a debit card, right? But
No.
people still went into the banks. ATM cards were just becoming a thing.
Yep.
And so people would come in and I would start and say, where do you have your auto insurance? Or do you need a credit card? Like whatever it was, because I needed money for pizza and beer. So
Yeah.
um, I was the college kid working like 3 jobs in the summer, like I just kind of put my head down and needed money and went to it. And so got kind of good at that and got scooped up into financial services. And this is when the mortgage boom was happening. So everything was mortgages, mortgages, mortgages.
Yeah.
When that tanked out, everything was insurance, 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 because this is
Yep.
like the most stable industry. And floated around between marketing and sales and training in the insurance side, and then got picked up by an insurance tech company before InsurTech was a thing. Again, I'm
Huh.
dating myself.
Which company was
That
that?
was a company called Astonish Results, and
We we were very close to using them at one point. Yeah, I know them.
there you go. Well,
Yeah.
it about 8 years ago, it got sold to Xywave.
Okay.
So they got investment capital, then they got sold to Xywave, and about that time, I broke off and started this company. So I always had client services, and then had managed their training team, and went all over the country. And I can say that my 2 feet have been in over 1,000 insurance agencies between the U.S. and Canada.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I bet you've gotten to meet some pretty darn cool people.
Got to meet some pretty darn cool people, and I always say that there's two things. If I ever won the lottery, I would either do like a tell-all book that was like kept the names and faces innocent,
Yeah.
or start like a fake Twitter feed for stories of an insurance consultant, or like randomly I'd post tweets about things I've seen. So
Yeah.
if something happens to me, there might be a black book that gets, released out into the public in a safety deposit box somewhere. But yeah, seeing all different things, lots of family based businesses. So there's a lot of family stuff that we get into, and
Yeah.
just, all different things that you see with small businesses.
Now, did I see it right on LinkedIn that you had a big announcement recently of somebody that just joined you who's kind of a big deal in the insurance industry?
We do. We have a mayor now that's on the team. So Heath Sharon has officially put his hat in there. He's still going to keep Insurance Town.
Yeah.
That was something I was passionate about. That's his baby, and so the podcast Insurance Town's still going to stay. You'll see him on our podcast. He's going to be in our videos, but um, him and I have been close friends for a little over a year, and I was helping him kind of do some consulting on the side, and I kept going like, I'm giving you our contracts. I'm giving you some of our content. And I was at a place where I had, that we were really not in a mode where we could take new agreements. And
Yeah.
so I was sending stuff to him. And so I was like, and he was kind of doing his own thing. And he was like, I was like, why don't we just do this together and make it a formal partnership? So,
Awesome.
yes, the mayor is officially on the APP team effective November 1st.
That is awesome. Congratulations. So
Yeah,
then
we're
how do I
excited.
get him
He's a
on
good
my
fit.
show?
You know what? I will be his agent, and I can help you out with that. Would love that,
Awesome.
actually.
I've never actually talked to him before, but seen him for quite a while on
I'll
in the
take that as a
LinkedIn world.
to-do item, and we will get the mayor on your show.
Nice. I love it. That's awesome. Well, I know that we kind of had a theme built out. If you were to make this a master class, what would it be? And you told me 8 ways to grow your agency. And there is absolutely no better place, in my opinion, because I'm highly biased, than Agents Growth Academy to tell me and our audience about 8 ways to grow.
It's a good way to look at it. I picked a good one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Friday, I was at a carrier, big regional carrier out here, and they're struggling with how do we get our agents to grow. And I'm sure you've seen this before. There's the high growth agencies. There's the ones that are in good, steady pace to grow. And then there's a lot of agencies that unfortunately kind of have their head in the sand. We like to call those are agents running a business, not business owners running an agency.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about the 8 ways to grow a business, an agency. It's important to me that every agency has a strategy for each one of these. Now,
Mm.
you've been in this business a long time. You can go into Facebook groups. You can get bedazzled by all sorts of shiny objects. There is more technology purchased and unused in this industry than
Yeah.
ever before. And
Yeah.
so we like to say blocking and tackling is where it's at. And then
Mm.
you find the things that you can do to enhance it. So
Yeah.
the 8 ways to grow an agency, some of them are going to be kind of like, well, duh, right?
Yeah, but
And then
sometimes it's the
some of
most
them are
common
like,
sense
I
things, right?
should do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure where to start. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy to dive in on those 8 wherever you see fit.
Yeah, let's do it. Just start rattling them off. Let's see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Well, the first one's new business, right? And
Duh.
so, duh, right? But duh-ish.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell me
Duh-ish.
more.
So, in an independent agency, when I first got going, it was, well, we're a service agency. We take care of our clients. And they'd
Yeah.
say, well, what's your service strategy? Well, we pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's not really a strategy. And I think that there's some shade thrown on really high growth agencies, maybe buying internet leads or, having producers that go out and knock on doors. And so I kind of feel like in a lot of agencies, the idea of new business growth is hope is their strategy. They hope to get enough referrals. There
Mm.
is not like a defined sales culture in an
Yeah.
agency. And a sales culture has tracking and role playing and defined sales goals and marketing campaigns that go along with it. And the vast majority of independent agencies run on a what calls in we try to sell as opposed to really investing in sales culture. So
Yeah.
one way to grow is to, and that doesn't necessarily mean you need to have producers. It just means you have to have a culture of inviting new people into the agency. It could be as simple as saying, hey, Jim, if you're happy today, do you know anyone that needs help with their insurance? I'd love to talk to them.
Yeah.
But we miss more opportunities in this industry. And again, blocking and tackling 101, cross selling, new business. Are we asking for referrals? Would you know your closing ratio? These
Sure.
are very baseline things that many agencies don't have. And I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, measurables, the last few things you were saying there, knowing your close ratio, knowing, numbers like that, that's super important. It's funny because I think we're probably guilty of not focusing as much on the strategy like you're talking about, because I think if you were to ask me that question, if I'm being completely candid with our audience and you, it's, well, most of our producers are getting a really steady stream of referrals. But that's great. But how do you bring on new people and expect them to do the same? In case in point, one of our first guests on the show was one of my newest employees, who's the head of personal line sales, Shelby Hayes. And yeah, she's got to not compete with her ex, as I call it, and she's got to be able to perform without the benefit of a lot of those things. So yeah, strategy. Yeah, that's a really good one.
And there's probably, here's the thing with the 8 ways to grow business. There's probably 10, 15, 30 things you could do to generate new opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I look at agencies saying, just pick one and get really good at it. And
Yeah.
then maybe in 6 months, pick another. Like you don't need to do everything. There's a power of going deep, not wide, right? And
Yeah.
so if you just got everybody asking for referrals, it would move the needle and
Yeah.
it's free,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to
Yeah.
necessarily go out and spend a ton of money in marketing. And so
Yeah.
we're big low hanging fruit people. Like
Mm-hmm.
before you go spend money, get the low hanging fruit,
Mm.
tied up and ready to rock and roll.
I love that. And I love free stuff too. So that's good.
Well, it's easy, but it's harder to manage, right? Like it
Yeah.
requires management. It's not like going and buying leads or paying for SEO. It's much more like I have to get people to do things.
Yeah. And in order to get people to do it, you have to hold them accountable, which means you've got to come up with a system to track it. And yeah, we did that when it came to what we first called it cross-sell conversations. Then we called it client care conversations.
Mhm.
But the method for tracking it was it was so hard. It was so hard.
Well,
But
and it's a mindset for most
yeah,
staff members. Like you
yeah,
have to have that mindset, the heart of a teacher.
yep,
I wanna do such a great job for Jim that
mm-hmm,
he's inspired to tell other people about it.
yeah,
And if I can our definition of a great service call is you brighten someone's day, you teach them something new, and you take care of everything that they need on that one call. There's no low hang, no nothing else to deal with.
yeah.
And if you can impress people that way, you win.
I love
If
it.
you kind of make them like, okay, I'll call you back, or you don't educate them, then people don't understand their insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. What's number two?
Oh, I'm gonna kind of go all over the map, but this one's
Yeah,
one of
go
my
for it.
favorites. I want to make sure we spend some time on
Yeah.
um, firing unprofitable clients.
Aha. Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. So in every business, there is clients that you lose money on. And for our top clients, they've gotten really good at standards of what business they're going to walk away from and what
Mm-hmm.
business they're going to write. And so many agencies feel like they have to write everybody that walks in the door. And unfortunately, it's not a great way to grow your agency. If your team is so trapped up on payments and chasing cancellations and things like that, um, they can't get to do things like renewal reviews or cross selling. And so you have to pick the level of work that you want to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's tough to fire clients, but it's also empowering to fire
Yeah.
clients. But you should not have people that are costing your company money as active business.
Let's say you had a list of clients that you wanted to otherwise fire.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about it in a respectable enough manner that doesn't have them, eviscerating you on in your agency on social media and giving you a bad name?
So the first thing I say when I get that question, Jim, is there's a high likelihood that you're bending over backwards and they could still eviscerate you, right? So
True.
like there's just the high activity clients are never happy and it's
Mm-hmm.
never their fault. So you
Right.
could bend over backwards and get fees waived and reinstated and they're still possibly not speaking like you did an amazing job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we say that many of these clients, there's people who fall into hard times and people who live in hard times,
Mm.
right? And so the people who live in hard times tend to just, they'll poke their head back up again later.
Yeah.
The second half of it is, use your underwriters. Ask your underwriters to non-renew and just say, this,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have any other options for you. That's one way.
Yeah.
Another way is, we encourage our clients to tier clients. And so if the day is, it's the day before Thanksgiving and everybody's running crazy, well, when a D client comes in and asks for the quote on 4 vehicles they may buy that are all 15 years old, you can say, I can't get to this till Monday.
Yeah.
I recommend you call Progressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you hope that it takes care of itself.
Yeah.
When you deprioritize service on them, or you choose to not reinstate them, or you choose to not remarket them or ask them to pay in full, the problem generally takes care of itself. But this goes into the agency having standards,
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, and
and
there's a lot of background work that you've got to do. You've got to be prepared for that, before you make those calls. And I do love the idea of good cop, bad cop with the insurance carrier asking them
yeah,
to
they don't want
non-renew.
them either, by the way. Like they're
Sure.
looking at the back and forth and they're not super excited about it either.
Yeah, and we've done that too, but not in a lot of cases, but absolutely there are people that drain your resources. And I like the way that you define it too. It's firing unprofitable clients. It's not firing nasty clients. You can have some nasty clients that pay you a lot of money, right? And they're it's profitable, but you also do get to choose who you work with.
We had an agency in New York, and I'll just tell a quick story where every year the owner told the staff that they could each fire one client. And literally, it was hysterical. They would go out for margaritas and like tacos, and it was like NCAA brackets would pop out. Like, who are we going to do? And by the end of the night, I mean, this went on for hours. Like, it was like, I remember going up, like, me and my brother trading Halloween candy, like a negotiation. It
Yeah.
was like that. And I mean, they were going back and forth and they had to submit it. The owner had final say, but the owner would
Yeah.
do the research in the management system. And, 8 clients would get fired that year, but the morale bumped so much because these clients were draining the team. And
Sure.
so, and he handled the phone call and he did it all himself, didn't get them involved. But
Oh,
the
wow.
boost of morale and just, the idea that like they didn't have to suffer and, make these people's insurance lives the best that they could be was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. That's cool. That's super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Ready for another one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here's another one that a lot of agencies don't do,
Okay.
and businesses don't do this. And I'll be completely honest, we haven't done it, and this is the first year I feel like we can do it.
Hmm.
So I've been chomping at the bit, which is actually having a budget.
Oh, Kelly, you are speaking to the right person, because this is something we literally just talked about in our annual planning session last week. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: we all only have so many resources. A budget will help us understand what to maximize. It's like it. And also, as an owner, I want to maximize my profit at the end of the year. I want to know what I should be anticipating for taxes. The
Yeah.
first couple of years around my business, I would get to with my accountant at the end there and be like, "I hope we're good.
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we good? What do we
Yeah.
have to do? What do we have to do with government?" And I just started thinking, I'm like, there needs to be a budget for us to buy a commercial building. There needs to be a budget for me to invest in being able to hire a Heath Sharon and feeling
Mm,
comfortable with that payroll level. Knowing that's going to take a couple months before we see return. And that's not Heath, that's just any new employee. They've got to be trained and everything. And so when you have a budget, you can say no to things because, we were just at IAOA and there's lots of things there's 120 vendors. There's
yeah.
120 people that want your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we make it a situation where you use the highest best use of your time, your money, but also associated with it is also your time,
Hmm.
like time is a resource, but it's always tied back to money somehow. So
Sure.
I just think agencies who don't have a budget need to be thinking about it. Now, it doesn't put you in a glass cage where you can't do anything. You're the owner. You could make an executive decision to break your budget and say,
Yeah.
"We need this so badly," or a great producer comes up that you weren't budgeting for. Great. But readjust other places too.
Mm, yeah. That's great. I love it. I love it. What's
Yeah.
next?
Ooh, this one's a good one. Next is carrier management. So every carrier pays different commissions, every carrier has different growth goals, but we firmly believe that as an independent agency, your team cannot know inside and out 30 carriers.
Mm,
I had an agency fly up to my office and she counted it. She had 56 carriers
yeah.
between bonds and, all of the things. Now, I'm not saying
Yeah.
you don't need that many. What I'm saying is that it's unfair for you to expect your team to know those carriers inside and out. But if you have tiers where you've got maybe three top tier one carriers, a couple tier two, and the rest are tier three, and then there's the carriers that you really need to depart from because you have a handful of policies with them. No one even knows the login. Like
Yeah.
the commissions are a pain.
Yeah.
It's literally, there's not enough volume, so it's draining resources from your business. And when you can go to your carriers and say, I want you to be a tier one carrier, what does that look like from a partnership level from you? You
Mm,
change the conversation you're having with carriers
yeah.
100%. And it also helps you have your team know better and say, we want to place business here. So if it's within the range, this is where we're placing business.
Yeah.
And that it organizes things and it helps people understand that when I hear I want to place them with the best, well, the best is not always the cheapest rate.
Hmm. Yeah.
So here's what
Yeah.
you think about that.
Yeah. So we have a marketing department that's focused solely on placing business with our carriers, and we hired a marketing manager a couple of years ago who's doing a fantastic job. Derek Dunham, thank you, sir. And he is focused on kind of what you're talking about, like tier one carriers. And we sat down and literally identified the top ones that we wanted to place business with, to, because of relationship with those carriers, with the reps and
Yeah.
underwriters and things, but also especially because to maximize profit sharing, right? Um, uh, like that's kind of seems like a no brainer, but I mean, if you don't have that mentality of focus, having that laser focus on those particular carriers, and then you've got your ancillary carriers who are going to help you grow to some degree, that's fine, but you got to have something that you're laser focused on. I totally agree with that.
Well, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a well-known national carrier that has the lowest commissions in the industry that everybody knows is a household name. You're
Mm-hmm.
probably reading through the lines I'm talking about. They do
Mm-hmm.
a 6-month auto policy, and they're
Mm-hmm.
the easiest to quote and bind by far. of
Yeah.
any carrier. And they're selling directly to your customers too. And you know what? Because it's easy, we place them there, and the frontline team member has no idea that you could be making a third to 40% more, just by placing it with another company that's not poaching your business.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the leadership has to have a strong stance on where you're placing business.
Yeah. So if you don't have a marketing team, that's got to be somebody in the agency, whether it's the owner or somebody in the leadership team, directing agents, reminding them, and reminding them constantly. So yeah.
And if you acquire agencies, you're going to come up with all these extra carriers through acquisition.
Yes.
You need a
Yes.
plan over the next year to roll them into more standard, your tier one, tier two, tier three companies. Because, I mean, we have a lot of agencies that acquire, and then all of a sudden it's like, we have 73 carriers. I don't even have, not everybody has logins. It's just, it's chaos.
Yeah, I'm going to be candid with you. That is/was us. We're doing a better job of that, but that's how we grew for the first half of our life. When my father started the agency, was by acquisition. And you're right.
Right.
No wonder now it makes sense. No wonder we have so many carriers. It's not because, everybody wants to do business with us. It's because, yeah, we got those through acquisition.
Well, even think about having to meet with all those carrier reps. Like,
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's
how
time
do you cash
consuming.
a month out of your life? It's
Yeah,
73 carrier.
yeah,
You don't have time for that.
yeah. Love you, but I don't have time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, what's up
Um,
next?
oh, this next one's kind of controversial too. But it's something I do believe in, which is fees.
Mm,
So being clients, which I know again people have mixed views on, and I hate it when I see it feels like you're taking advantage of it. My stance on fees is there's business just by the nature of its size. It is good people, good quality business, but you won't be able to make money on a $500 bob.
mm, yeah.
So how do you go ahead and say you can either have a fee or get your personal lines?
Mm-hmm.
And there are some carriers, especially on the E&S side, the smaller E&S policies, where it kind of goes into the unprofitable customers. How can we make them profitable for the agency?
Yeah.
Because E&S renewals are beasts on
Mm-hmm.
commercial lines. Like there's a lot of detailed manual work. You're chasing people. We've all kept the agency open on a Friday night till 7 so someone could drop a check off that you hope clears.
Right. That you hope clears. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a chance, and
Yeah.
that's why there's a place for tasteful fees. I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe in, pillaging people, but if there are clientele that, that we could say, hey, this is not profitable for us, but we can make it profitable, or we can really impress upon our sales team that they need to cross sell it even through other departments to make it
Yeah.
profitable. What you find is you don't actually collect a lot of fees, but your cross selling and cross departmental selling goes up because producers don't really want to talk
Yeah.
about a fee.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a dirty way to back your way into making sure we're cross selling between departments on smaller accounts.
Yeah. And I think if you are going to fee a client, you better darn sure make sure that you express to them the value that you're providing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's going to be a little heartache there, perhaps on their part. So you've got to do your job to, understand. I was record a short video this morning on three uniques, making sure that you can very quickly express to other people what makes your agency unique, what kind of value you're
Yeah.
bringing to the table. So
I 100% agree with that. And again, we're not talking about feeding everybody, but there
yeah,
are pockets in your business where, hey, I can't have agencies lose money
right,
either,
right,
and so, and there's always the feeling, right? Like, well, what if they grow? And I'm like, well,
yeah,
what if I win the lottery, right?
yeah,
Like I can't cash the what if they grow scenario, but I can get
yeah,
their personal lines and then we're fine.
yeah,
And the fact
yeah,
that if they don't want to send their personal lines, that's a very vulnerable account. Why aren't they talking about that to their current personal lines agent?
yeah,
So I always question the longevity of it.
yeah. All right, I think we got 5. Can you do 3 more? Can we
I
have
can.
the need
I
for
got it.
speed and
I got it. Yeah. So next up is coverage increases. This is going to grow you vary incrementally, very
Mm-hmm.
small.
Mm-hmm.
Moving someone from 300,000 to 500,000 liability is not going to, no one's going out for steak dinners with that. But what it does do is it has a tie to retention. So if I'm able to talk to you about coverage and you believe in protecting your business or your family, then I've brightened your day. I've educated you on something new and you see value in me. So
Yeah.
we do track coverage increases for almost all of our clients because that is a sign of health. And it's a very simple, easy thing that almost everybody in the agency can do.
Yeah. And that's from a psychological perspective from the agent's side. Um, one of our core values in our agency is passionate advocate for others. And if we truly care about the client enough to make sure that they have the appropriate level of coverage, so that when, a neighbor's kid falls out of the tree, be great if you had an umbrella, but if you don't, maybe we should make sure that you have as much liability as possible.
And sometimes it's the new coverages, like service line protection is newer in personal
Yeah.
lines. That didn't exist, 8 years ago. So
Yeah.
sometimes carriers come out with new things that can be a big benefit. And
Yeah.
that's where you want to focus on too is your team always educating the client, and can they get them to even spend $5 more a year because they
Yeah.
see the value? That's taking it away from price and taking
Yep.
it into the value of what you have.
Yeah. Love it. All
So
right.
it's not gonna, like I said, it's not gonna change your P&L, but it has other ripple effects.
Yeah.
Next one's good old fashioned cross selling.
Heck yeah.
Good old fashioned, working the leads inside your agency. Everybody wants to spend money, new, 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 new. And I just, again, go back to it is you have a leads inside your agency. If we're not working them, and the statistics are there, it bumps your retention, right? So
Yeah.
you should be cross selling. And we do secret shopper calls. So 49% of our secret shoppers never get asked about another line. So about
Oh,
half.
wow. That's
So
some
I
really good
call you and
accountability
say,
for the agents.
yeah, and it's like, and it's also a large discount. So there's
Yeah.
obviously your monoline book is front and center, but we believe in a 4 and score model where every client should have at least 4 policies with you. And that could be cross departmental, it could be sending it to life insurance, it could be, you've got home, auto, umbrella, and a toy. But the more you're trying to drive towards 4 and score, the more you're going to say that those clients stay with you.
Yeah. Awesome. And finally,
Uh,
last but not least.
So the one that has my heart is retention of
Oh,
clients.
yes. Mine too.
Yeah, and the size agencies we deal with, because we're really dealing usually with an agency that's got about 20 people in it. It's retention is your biggest moneymaker. So
Yeah.
everybody wants new because you got to refuel the losses. But if I can get retention to 94%, you could grow that next 3% with rate increases next year. And now you have to make up just a little bit just to refuel your losses, and everything else is growth. But we are incredible advocates of an annual renewal review for every customer.
Yeah.
And it's a very traditional old school way. And people will fight me and say, it's impossible. My team doesn't have time. I'm like, they don't have time because they're getting the you people raise my rate conversation. And then they're reactively scrambling around on a reshop, and they don't know how to talk about rate. But when you can do the proactive renewal review, I can increase coverage, I can ask for referrals, I can cross sell, I can bump the retention. I can put them with the right carrier if I have to. It covers those other 7 that we talked about in a
Yeah.
concise way where, once a year, that client's going to make sure they're in the right buckets with your agency.
That's awesome. Beautifully well rounded out. I want to hit you with the rapid fire round
Yes,
now.
I've been excited about this.
Yes. One piece of technology or software you can't live without. Go.
HubSpot.
HubSpot. Yes.
HubSpot.
Which I
We
think
are
was founded in Boston, right? Or based in
It is,
Boston.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's our CRM tool. It's does anything I ever wanted to do. So
Awesome. Love it. One book that is on your mind or that you're reading right now.
my whole team right now is reading Traction.
Oh, yes.
And I just love the way that they outline everything. And so we're gonna do it ourselves, Traction, next year. We've been doing a mock version for agencies for a while. I'm not certified, but
Yeah.
A lot of the same principles, I think, just as you start to get to a certain size, it organizes your business really nicely.
Yep, that's what we've been rolling out the last 2 years, and we're eating, breathing, sleeping, living it. So, yeah, Traction by Gino Wickman, right?
Yeah, once you get the vocabulary down, you're good. I think it takes like a solid year to get the get the words
Yeah, people
down.
are like, "What the heck are rocks? What's an
Yeah.
L10
It's an
meeting? What does
L10
that mean?"
meeting.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we actually just had our we work with an implementer who helped us implement it, and he did our consulting last week,
Yeah.
so it was phenomenal. One final piece of advice for listeners, but then I've got a couple of bonus questions after that.
Okay, that's fine. My biggest piece of advice for agencies is right now is do not put up with staff that are not on your team. And that's a big traction, the get it, want it capacity,
Yep.
values. I see so many agency owners making, and I'm just going to be point blank, excuses. They say, oh, it's hard to hire. And I say, well, what are you doing about hiring? Are you telling everybody you're looking? Like, what are you doing about it?
Yeah.
Well, no, I put a job ad out. I'm like, your job ad's boring. People need something different today. And I just say that there's so many agencies I meet that have the wrong staff that are holding them hostage
Mm,
and they feel like they can't do anything about it. And I say, you know what? The best thing you could do is start fresh and get new blood in here and get the agency you really deserve. But the people game in insurance is it's a mindset block that many agencies have.
absolutely. It's a scary thing to make changes like that, but if you don't change, then you're gonna get more of the same. So
Well, and the problem you have is that there's the insurance encyclopedia, we like to call them. They know
yeah,
they know the clients, they know the coverage, but their attitude's terrible.
yeah.
And so we hold them because of that, and it's not the right reason to keep someone on your team.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, bonus questions.
Let's do
Your
it.
favorite sales win that you either experienced yourself or heard about from somebody else. Tell me a story.
So favorite sales win. So we talked a little bit about my background. I came from Astonish, and we were bootstrapped in the very beginning, and so we had a salesperson, and whenever we needed to make payroll, we'd send him out.
Yeah.
And so to put that pressure on somebody of 15 people's lives, like we weren't going to make payroll if he didn't come back with a deal. I mean, he was just a true sales professional, and he was not somebody that was like overselling the deals or anything like that, but he just was super gifted in a way to say paint the vision and paint the value.
Mm, awesome. What about a sales habit or a marketing habit that you personally have, like on a daily, weekly basis, something that you consistently do?
I am a huge believer of, and I practice the full focus planner by Michael Hyatt. If you have a plan for your day, you're going to have so much better. So I have a plan for my week, I have a plan for my day, and I have a what we call a start up the day ritual and end the day ritual. And so I am a big believer of, you know, and I'm blessed too, Jim. Most clients come to me asking to work with me not having to like go make cold calls and things
Right.
like that. But
Yeah.
I've seen it, I like it. What does it cost? Let's do it. And I think when you can get your brand out there, and this has been 8 years of doing this, but 8 years of speaking and doing the blogs and doing videos and doing constant touch points on people. The strategy I always say is consistency is the biggest key. So that's why I have a ritual every day. I'm in a rhythm and a routine right now that is working. And
Yeah.
so if you want to wing it every day, you will always fail and you'll be missing opportunities.
Yeah, I love it. I recorded a short video yesterday where I talked about one thing my father always repeated to me, which I'm sure he didn't come up with, but plan your work and then work your plan.
Hmm.
It's as simple as
Hmm.
that. It's simple, but it's hard, right?
No, I mean, so many producers chase like, the feeling of the day, and feelings don't have brains, and then what happens is producers go on the roller coaster.
Yeah,
They're up and they're down and they're up and they're down. Where if you just did the consistency every day of making 5 phone calls, sending thank you notes, like it's simple and easy and you will win in the long run.
yeah. Awesome. I got one surprise question for you.
Uh-oh, plot
This is a,
twist.
this is a tough one. If
Okay.
I were to say to you, Kelly, soup or marshmallows, what would you choose?
Did you say soup or
Soup,
marshmallows?
soup or marsh? Yeah, I know it's a kind of a
Oh,
wacky one.
No,
Yeah.
no, it would definitely be soup. I'm not a sugar fan. So,
Okay.
it would definitely be soup. And it's like New England and cold. So we have to
Yeah.
like,
What's your favorite kind of soup?
ooh, I really like Italian wedding soup. I'm
Ooh,
a big fan
nice.
of that
Okay.
one. But I really like all soups. I am allergic to tomatoes. So anything tomato based I stay away from. But
Good to know.
um
Well, I'm gonna get your address offline, but I'm gonna ship you a special treat from Spoonful of
ooh.
Comfort for being a guest on the
Oh, we
show.
use them.
Have you?
We use them for any sympathy type events for
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
So yes,
We
I love them. They are awesome.
we gave it to our staff as a gift last year, and it was like it's still talked about.
Like, well, you send flowers, like if somebody's got a
Yeah.
tragedy and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well they died and everyone's sending flowers, but we get
Yeah.
rave reviews on the soup. It's like, this was awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. Cool. Well, I'll get your address. We'll send that out to you. Spoonful of Comfort.
thanks so much, Jim. This has been fun. I hope your
Yeah.
viewers, can take some of these 8 ways and rock and roll with them.
Absolutely. And when people are trying to figure out how to get in touch with you, what's the best way that they can do that?
Just go to agencyperformancepartners.com or find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. I mean, we're pretty much out there, but I recommend everybody sign up for 3-minute videos. We do one every day. And,
Yeah.
you can share them with your team, throw them up in your team meetings and just be like, we just did a series on how to ask for referrals. That went really well because
Yeah.
it sounds silly, but just hearing a little bit more on how to do it can kind of click with people.
Yeah. I love it. Kelly, it has been a pleasure having you, and
Same.
look forward to catching up with you soon.
Yeah, we'll get Heath on your show next.
Love it. Grow bigger, go home. See you later.